Salakaya Sakshurmilitan Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Namo Mahāprabhu Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gora Tvise Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. We're reading from Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Madhya-līlā, chapter 9. Lord Chaitanya travels to the holy places. By Śrīla Kṛṣṇadāsa Kavirāja Gosvāmī Maharaj, the author of Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Ki Jai, Jai, Om Vishnupad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swāmī Prabhupada, who wrote the purports. And we are at text 312. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then visited a place within the forest called Saptatala. All the trees there were very old, very bulky and very high. After seeing the 7 palm trees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced them. As a result, they all returned to Vaikuntha Loka, the spiritual world. After the 7 palm trees departed for the Vaikunthas, everyone was astonished to see them gone. The people then began to cry, began to say, "This sannyasi called Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must be an incarnation of Lord Ramachandra. Only Lord Ramachandra has the power to send 7 palm trees to the spiritual Vaikuntha planets." Eventually, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at a lake known as Pampa, where he took his bath. He then went to a place called Panchavati, where he rested. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then visited Nasika, where he saw the deity Triambaka. He then went to Brahmagiri and then to Kushavarta, the source of the river Godavari. After visiting many other holy places, the Lord went to Saptakodavari. At last he returned to Vidyanagar. When Ramananda Roy heard of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's arrival, he was very pleased and he immediately went to see him. When Ramananda Roy fell flat, touching the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord immediately raised him to his feet and embraced him. In great ecstatic love, they both began to cry, and thus their minds were slackened. After some time, they both regained their senses and sat together to discuss various subjects. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave Ramananda Roy a vivid description of his travels to the holy places and told him how he had acquired the 2 books named Krishna-karnamrita and Brahma Samhita. The Lord delivered the books to Ramananda Roy. The Lord said, "Whatever you have told me about devotional service is all supported by these 2 books." Ramananda Roy was very happy to receive these books. He tasted their contents along with the Lord and made a copy of each. News spread in the village of Vidyanagar about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's arrival, and everyone came to see him once again. After seeing the people who gathered there, Sri Ramananda Roy returned to his own home. At noon, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got up to take his lunch. Sri Ramananda Roy returned at night, and both he and the Lord discussed topics concerning Krishna. Thus they passed the night. Ramananda Roy and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discussed Krishna day and night, and thus they passed from 5 to 7 days in great happiness. Ramananda Roy said, "My dear Lord, with your permission, I have already written a letter to the king with great humility. The king has already given me an order to return to Jagannath Puri, and I am making arrangements to do this." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then said, "It is for the purpose alone that I have returned. It is for this purpose alone that I have returned. I want to take you with me to Jagannath Puri. Ramananda Roy said, My dear Lord, it is better that you proceed to Jagannath Puri alone, because with me there will be many horses, elephants and soldiers, all roaring tumultuously. I shall make arrangement within 10 days. Following you, I shall go to Nilachal without delay. Giving orders to Ramananda Roy to come to Nilachal, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed for Jagannath Puri with great pleasure. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned by the same road he formerly took to Vidyanagar, and all the Vaishnavas along the way saw him again. Wherever Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went, the holy name of Sri Hari was vibrated. Seeing this, the Lord became very happy. When the Lord reached Alalanath, he sent his assistant Kṛṣṇadāsa ahead to call for Nityananda and other personal associates. As soon as Nityananda received news of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's arrival, he immediately got up and started out to see him. Indeed, he was very impatient in his great ecstasy. Sri Nityananda Roy, Jagadananda, Damodar Pandit and Mukunda all became ecstatic in their happiness, and dancing along the way, they went to meet the Lord. Gopinath Acharya also went in a very happy mood. They all went to meet the Lord, and they finally contacted him on the way. The Lord was also filled with ecstatic love, and he embraced them all. Out of their love, they began to cry with pleasure. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also went to see the Lord with great pleasure, and he met him on the beach by the sea. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord pulled him up and embraced him. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya cried in great ecstatic love. Then, accompanied by them all, the Lord went to the temple of Jagannath. Due to ecstatic love experienced upon visiting Lord Jagannath, inundations of trembling, perspiration, tears and jubilation swept the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In ecstatic love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced and chanted. At that time, all the attendants and priests came to offer him a garland and the remnants of Lord Jagannath's food. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became patient after receiving the garland and prasadam of Lord Jagannath. All the servants of Lord Jagannath met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great pleasure. Afterwards, Kashi Mishra came and fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord respectfully embraced him. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then took the Lord within him to his house, saying, "Today's luncheon will be at my house." In this way he invited the Lord. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya brought various types of food remnants that had been left by Lord Jagannath. He brought all kinds of cakes and condensed milk preparations. Accompanied by all his associates, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house and took his lunch there. After offering food to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya made him lie down to rest, and he personally began to massage the legs of the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then sent Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya to take his lunch, and the Lord remained that night in his home just to please him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal associates remained with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. They stayed awake the entire night, hearing the narration of the Lord's pilgrimage. The Lord told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, "I have travelled to many holy places, but I could not find a Vaishnava as good as you anywhere." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, "I received much pleasure from the talks of Ramananda Roy." Bhattacharya replied, "For this reason I requested that you meet him." Thus I have ended my narration about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pilgrimage. Describing it in brief, it cannot be described very broadly. The pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are unlimited. No one can properly describe his activities, yet I make the attempt out of greed. This but reveals my shamelessness. Whoever hears of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pilgrimage to various holy places attains the riches of very deep ecstatic love. Please hear the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with faith and devotion. Giving up envy of the Lord, everyone chant the Lord's holy name Hari. In this age of Kali, there are no genuine religious principles. There are only the Vaishnava's devotees and the Vaishnava devotional scriptures. This is the sum and substance of everything. The pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are just like an unfathomable ocean. It is not possible for me to enter into them. Simply standing on the shore, I am but touching the water. Whoever hears the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with faith, analytically studying them, attains the ecstatic riches of love of Godhead. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, and always desiring their mercy, I, Kṛṣṇadāsa, narrate Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, following in their footsteps. So this ends chapter 9. Lord Chaitanya's travels to the holy places. And then chapter 10, the chapter is called The Lord's Return to Jagannath Puri. Jai Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta ki jai. Śrīla Kṛṣṇadāsa Kavirāja Gosvāmī Maharaj ki jai. Om Vishnupad Śrīla Bhakti Vedanta Swāmī Prabhupada ki jai. Then we're reading from Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion, Volume 1. And we are at chapter Unconditional Service. Chapter 5, page 70. The bird, known as Chataka, always looks above for rainwater, but it will never take any water from the ground, even if there is an abundance of that. He waits only for whatever water will come from above. Sufficient rain may come, or thunder may come, yet he will not take even a single drop from the earth. Our attitude should be like that. We must follow whatever instruction and direction comes from above, and never try to fulfill any plan from the mundane world. The director, the master, the Lord above. I am connected with him. This sort of practice is conducive. We may chant the name, hear the musical kirtan, etc., but the very life will be present only as much as our activity is on the order descending from the plane above, and as much as that order is earnestly being carried out by us. In that way, we may be taken from above. We may be promoted to the higher layer by preparing ourselves only to carry out the order from above without question. If we are certain that the order is coming from the higher layer, we should surrender without question. By living at the disposal of the higher, we learn selfless service of the higher, which is not of any mundane source. This is our necessity. Vaishnava Seva and Guru Seva, service to the Vaishnava and Guru. By Guru Bhakti alone, devotion to the service of Sri Gurudev, in one stroke, all desirable pursuits will be accomplished. There are also many symptoms by which to recognize the genuine Guru and by obeying the directions of the higher. We can make progress towards the higher. We may hope to be selected by the higher and be taken up to the layer if we are considered sufficiently qualified. This attitude will be the main tenure of our lives if we want to go to the high superconscious region. In the Vedanta Sutra, it is mentioned that the process to reach that region is by revealed truth and not by reason. If we apply reason, we shall be nowhere. Among expert arguers, there may always be one more expert. In this way, on and on, no end. Thus, tarka, reason, and argument is inconclusive. Intellectualism has no standing here, because superconsciousness is beyond our jurisdiction. It cannot be an object of our intellect. By serving, by honoring, by self-giving, by heart-giving, and never otherwise can we invite that high guest. It is not possible to capture and engage him by intrigue and conspiracy. Such an attempt will betray Satan in another color. Not only self-abnegation, but self-surrender is necessary to approach God. Deep self-surrender will take us into the connection with the higher, noble substance. And service is not service to Maya. It must be very careful to perceive that I am not merely serving Maya, who has appeared in a charming or godly form. In our present position, we must be extremely cautious regarding who and what we are serving. The main wave will be jnane prayasham udapasya. Hatefully discard proposals that your intellect may offer you. Whatever the intellect can judge and accept or reject must necessarily be of a lower type. So you are to summarily reject that and understand that you must bow down your head, namanta eva. The beginning of your interest is to bow down your head, and your heart will be captured automatically. Try to connect with that section where you will always be with folded palms, and where you can never be master. Such abnegation and courage of self-giving is necessary if you want to live in the higher plane. Otherwise you may reign in hell, according to Satan's word. It is better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven. But just the opposite is necessary. Even tears and crying have no value if the inner tendency of self-giving is absent. Seva, service, means self-giving, and that is the standard principle in the life of a devotee. This self-giving must be really to the higher sphere and not just haphazardly around us, for that is another way to be captured by hateful things. Jnana, knowledge, is generally regarded as being very pure. By the majority of people, jnana is considered to be very innocent because it has no relationship with gross material things. It is always admitted that to handle the gross material energy is very unwholesome, and knowledge is considerably the higher is considered by the higher personalities to be very pure, very innocent and spotless. But if it's not connected with Krishna, such knowledge must be hatefully rejected. Here in the Srimad Bhagavatam it is said that knowledge is widely considered to be spotless, pure and innocent. But if it's not connected with the positive absolute good, then it is your enemy. A qualified candidate will consider things in this way. Jnana Sunya Bhakti, surrender, is so pure that any connection with knowledge, which is considered to be very innocent and pure, even that must be hatefully rejected. Such a degree of surrender is necessary for the higher association of genuine devotion. Both the charm of material acquisition and the charm of the mastery of knowing everything are to be rejected. It is not possible for you to know anything about the infinite, either in magnitude or quality. The infinite is a flow of autocracy, so what can you know of it? Therefore, knowledge means more than storing so many relative or false incidents and selling that information to the world in order to fulfill some other function, such as personal name and fame. Hatefully give up and engage in unqualified and unconditional service. Hatefully give this up and engage in unqualified and unconditional service. That is noble, and that will take you up to the noble region. Thus, karma and jnana, handling matter and handling knowledge, both are discouraged. Knowledge won't be allowed to enter that market where the absolute will and autocracy reign. No rule and regulation can work there. False gathering and false store has got no standing there. Only surrender, and we will have that high relationship. Serving attitude is our friend. We are a unit of serving attitude, and service means to surrender to the higher. And the higher means the plane uncontaminated with material and intellectual acquisition. We must serve such a higher plane. This is the end of chapter 5. Unconditional service. Then tomorrow we can read chapter 6, the highest conception of conduct. Jai. Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion ki Jai. Jai Śrīla Guru Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Śrīla Gurudev ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hari Yaraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah. Hari Yaraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshevaya Namah. Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan. Jai Guru Sai Puri CC Guru Gauranga Sundar Radha Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Gosvāmī Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakak Siddhadev Gosvāmī Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swāmī Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta Mat Sri Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Sabashada Sri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Sabashada Sri Mahāprabhu Ki Jai. Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Kiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Sri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Sri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sri Purushottam Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Ganga Yamuna Ju Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees Ki Jai. All glories to the world devotees Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan.